Hey guys, welcome back to PC Building Simulator, and welcome back to the Asus ROG Workshop. Today, we're going to do something that I have been needing to do for a while, and it's something that a lot of you guys have requested. It's time to see what the highest 3D Mark score that I can pull off is. I think I've only really done an overclocking video once, and it was on a pretty similar build to this. This is the most expensive build that you can build in PC Building Simulator. It's pretty similar to this, not quite as decked out, but close. And I think we got a little over 25,000. This stock is 19,911. So that is where we're starting. That is totally just stock clocks on everything. So we're going to see how far we can get it. I've got a few tips for ways to get it as high as possible. I am hoping, crossing my fingers, that we can pull off. I would be happy if I could get over 27,000. So that's my goal. 27,000 or above. I hope we can get there. We'll see. We might not be able to because I'm not very good at this. But anyway, all right. So first thing we got to do, this is the most expensive PC you can build in PC Building Simulator, but there are a couple, well, maybe there's just one thing we need to change out to help our performance a little bit. And kind of give us some headroom. So, actually I should show you, like, well, I can just tell you. I just, like, run this in OCCT, and it's pulling, like, 650 watts or so. To get the most expensive power supply, it's the Cooler Master Watt Maker 1200, which is a 1200 watt, which is very beefy. It's a very large wattage power supply, high wattage power supply. But it's not the highest, and we are going to be overclocking. We could be pushing wattages past 1200. So just to make sure we have as much headroom as we need, we are going to put a higher wattage but cheaper power supply in this PC, and that's going to be a 1600 watt, either from Corsair or EVGA. I'm just going to do the one from Corsair because, I don't know, it's pretty, I guess. Okay, I need my cyan cables, because I am not doing this with ugly cables, right? Right. Okay. Unless you don't like cyan, then you already think my cables are ugly anyway, and that's fine. We disagree, because they look awesome. What did I just click on? Disconnect all my SSD power. EPS power, okay, GPU, and we should be good to go. Alright. Everything else is going to stay as is. We've got, to remind you, if you haven't seen this system, this really should be the pinnacle of performance. We've got the Asus Rampage Extreme motherboard with a 9980XE. That is the king of overclocking as of right now, pretty much. We've got a single loop for everything, but that single loop includes two large AlphaCool Icebecker 250mm acetal radiators. It's got a whopping 5 360mm Fat Boy Rasian Calore, if that's how you say it, radiators. So we got one underneath, one up top, one in front, and two around back. Insane. So cooling should not be an issue. And just to show that, I mean, I was running OCCT on this earlier, and it is insane. This thing hits, like, yeah, 30. I can't even get to hit 34C. And of course, we're all stock, and this is going to change quite quickly once we start overclocking, but still, temperature right now is absurdly good. I don't even know what that would be in Fahrenheit, but that's, like, crazy. Like, how cold is this room? What is the ambient temperature in here? Hello? Okay, anyway. I think, other than that, we should be in good shape. So we've got two water-cooled 2080 Ti's from Aorus. We've got an insane amount of RAM, which I think is fine, but it is 8 gig, 4800 megahertz RAM. This motherboard can only do 4200 megahertz, and I think 4200 megahertz is actually the fastest that any motherboard can do in the game. So, there you go. That should be it. I'm curious to see if we can overclock. Yeah, 4200 megahertz. I'm curious to see if we can overclock that RAM a little bit. But yeah, we've got lots to do. So, what I'm going to do here. We're going to overclock the GPUs, we're going to overclock the CPU, and we're going to overclock the RAM as much as we can. I don't even know how it works. I haven't really played with that before. But I found a post on Reddit from a user named Puntherline who talks about basically, because the Silicon Lottery is a thing in this game. So if you don't know the Silicon Lottery, basically, like, every 9980XE CPU isn't the same. Some are going to overclock well, some are going to be able to handle more voltage, some, you know, whatever. There's some variance there. They're not perfectly the same. So that same thing exists in the game. So to kind of bust through this silicon lottery, what he said you can do with a 9980XE is go into the BIOS, slam the voltage to 2 volts, and basically if your 9980XE can't handle it, it will die. And then you just put a new one in, repeat until you get one that survives. And then you'll basically get a 9980XE that should overclock at least fairly well. Should at least be in that upper tier of overclockers. You can do the same thing with the RAM by setting the voltage to 1.8 volts, he says, supposedly. So we're going to do that too. I don't know if there's any short tricks for the GPUs, but we're just basically going to try to overclock them and see what we can get out of them. So, I'm going to get to work. This is going to be probably a little bit of it's going to be a lot of off-camera tweaking because this could take me a really long time to dial in, figure out. But I'll be checking in with some updates as we go. I think I'm going to start and try to just kill our CPUs and find us a good one, and then kill some RAM and find us some good RAM. So we're going to start there, and we're going to see if we can pull a score, hopefully, of 27,000 or better, but definitely better than my last score of 25,000, maybe 200 something. I can't remember exactly. So, I will be right back with some sort of results. Wish me luck. Here we go. All right. After a lot of CPU killing and swapping and tweaking, and yeah, we've gotten the total score up to 20,697. Now that's with graphics totally untouched, which is going to account for most of our score here. So this is just RAM overclocking and CPU overclocking. We killed 4 9980XEs. So that's great. 9980XE is a $1,300 CPU, and we killed 4 of them. So good job. There's $5,200 down the drain. But hey, we found one that could survive at 2 volts. And let's just have a really quick look at our settings. So I couldn't kill the RAM putting it at 1.8 volts, so maybe that's not enough voltage. I don't know. I think I could probably try to figure out what that voltage is and kill some RAM, because I do think there's a little bit of a limit right now because of the RAM. But here's how we landed on our overclock. So CPU overclock, I brought my ratio down because by default the ratio is at 44 because it's a 4.4 gigahertz processor with a 100 megahertz base clock. So we took the ratio way down so we could bring the base clock up, because bringing the base clock up allows us to bring our RAM speed up. So we've got the RAM at 5,760 megahertz, which is brought up purely because of that CPU base clock, because by default it was at 4,200 megahertz. Yeah, 4,200 megahertz. So big bump in RAM speed, but at the cost of our CPU ratio. But still, this is kind of where we wound up, and I've really got it where if I go up a single megahertz in the base clock, CPU dies. Well, CPU, it doesn't die. Thank goodness it doesn't die, because filling the loop every time I kill the CPU took forever. Like, it takes a full minute to fill the loop. But anyway, it doesn't die. It just it screens. But anyway, so that's where we're at. Let's boot back. There are no changes, but that's fine. Let's boot back into the OS quick, and I can just show you where we land with temperatures. So you can see here, original clock for the CPU, 4,400 megahertz. The current clock, 4,752 megahertz. Pretty solid, actually. Pretty happy with where the CPU's landing. I actually think if I could figure out how to kill some RAM and get it so I just have good RAM, I could bring that ratio down some more, throw that base clock up, and get my RAM clock even higher, and I could probably push our CPU score even further. So I might do more research on that, but I'm not going to do it right now. I just want to see what we can get right now. I don't know if we're going to reach 27,000. I do think our CPU might be, or our CPU side of the score might be our limit, but I think it's really just because of RAM. So either way, this has been really interesting. I've learned a lot. We can see our max temperature, 90.55 degrees C. Pretty toasty, but not crazy. Not crazy. I mean, yeah, it's a massive loop, so it's pretty impressive they managed to saturate that. But that concludes the CPU side of our overclocking journey for now. We'll probably come back maybe in a separate video and see if we can push it a little further by doing some stuff with the RAM, but that'll be an exciting part too. So I'm going to dive in right now, and we're going to do some GPU tuning. Now, what I know with GPU tuning is you drag this all the way over here. We know that. That's good. And then we're just going to work on scooching our core clock and our memory clock up until we kind of max out our cards. I'm not as versed on the Silicon Lottery with graphics cards, so we're just going to kind of see where we can get. We're going to hope for the best, and this should help our score a lot. In fact, just improving our core voltage, just unlocking the core voltage to 120% should already give our score a little bit of a boost. So actually, I'm going to run a 3D mark really quick, and we're just going to see exactly where that lines up. Okay, never mind, I lied. The scores are the exact same. So, I don't know. I know in real life, like with GPU, with NVIDIA's like GPU boost, if you give it a little more voltage, and if temperature allows, it will give you a little more performance. But apparently, that's not how it works in this game, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how anything works. So anyway, okay, now I'm going to dive in and work on core clock and work on memory clock, and we're going to see where we lined up, and we'll see how far we get. So I'll be back with a bigger number than 20,697. All right, so I did some stuff, and the score's over here behind me. I don't want to show it to you, but okay. So we overclocked our GPUs, tweaked them a bunch, but the end score that I got is better than the score I've ever gotten in this game. It's the highest score I've gotten. The last score I got was like what 25,000. No, 25,324 something. It wasn't that, I don't know, it wasn't that high. So we got negligibly higher. There it is. 25,905. I wanted better. But honestly, I can't keep trying right now because I need to do more research because this is really complicated. Like, you get deep into like binning CPUs, GPUs, and RAM, and it's pretty time consuming. It's actually really time consuming. It's kind of more time consuming, well, it can be in free build, because like in free build, if I pull a part out of this computer, if I pull this GPU out, it's gone. So like if this GPU is good and I take it out, it's gone. So I have to be very careful. There are some really good videos out there and some good explainers on how overclocking works in this game. So I think I'm going to come back and kind of do a part 2 where we try to just push this score another 1,000 plus if we can. But this is where I wound up, 25,905. I would love to get that graphics score over 29,000. And I still think we have room to move the CPU score up if we bin our RAM. And even the CPU, it's in the top, 15% of 9980XEs, but that, it could be number 1. And there are ways to find out if it's number 1. It's just very, very tedious. But yeah, our GPUs, honestly, they overclocked okay, but like not great. I would have liked to see these closer to like 330-ish, even a little bit above 330. So yeah, the GPUs could use some like binning, but you have to come through and basically you get GPU 1 perfect. And then once GPU 1 is perfect, you come down and you do 2, and you try it and you try it, and you take them out, and you try, and you take them out, you flip one back, and you try, and it's whole until you finally find one that's good. So I don't feel like doing all that, but here's the best score I can do for now. 25,905. I think we'll be revisiting this though, and seeing if we can get a little bit higher. I still would love to crack 27,000 just for my own sake, to say I did it and to feel semi-legitimate in life. But either way, hopefully you found this interesting, and yeah, thanks so much for watching. And if you did like this and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe for more videos like this one of PC Building Simulator and other videos, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.